We're back. We're gonna do SCP again because I don't think I rambled enough last time. This one is not planned at all. I don't remember if the first one was. Let me check my little notes here. Nope. By the way, all the notes are on the same Google Doc. It's called notes underscore maxing. It is as stupid as it sounds. Um, since evidently the last one wasn't planned, this one isn't either. Whatever I end up saying is just kind of whatever I end up saying. I will, though, do my best to write down the points I'm making as I make them, and then maybe drop them in the description, just out of like courtesy or politeness or one of those words. Anyway, but we're back to do SCP again, because I remember last time I cut myself off a lot, I rambled on about other things often. Generally speaking, it wasn't the best thing I've done, but it had heart, okay? And things having heart is not just something people say when they don't know how to compliment something. It had heart. Yeah, so does every animal on Earth. Good Lord. Um, no, but we're here to do SCP again. I don't remember what I said last time, so I just end up repeating myself a lot. But that's fine, probably, maybe. If it wasn't clear by this point, given that I don't edit these because I don't have editing software and I don't feel like learning or getting any, you can just put these on in another tab or something while you like clean or do work or I don't know, something. Back. Jesus. Oh yeah, speaking of get up, stretch, you probably haven't all day sitting on a computer or something. Drink more water. It's ironic that I'm telling you this, but eat more. Believe me, believe me, that's a good thing. And if you have medicine, take it without acceptable limits, as directed on the bottle. So we're back for SCP. Like last time, I'm not going to do any readings because I genuinely believe these are best experienced either by reading them yourself or going to the previously aforementioned YouTube channels that I find myself enjoying. Uh, because A, their narration is great, they have amazing voices, and B, I don't. Also C, you should just read them on the wiki themselves. So I guess now we're going to tackle more convoluted concepts. And I guess the first one we'll do is object classes. Consider this, or at least this first chunk, who knows how much of this will end up being something like that, like your introduction to the Foundation. A more modernized one, because I don't think all the ones people made are like years old at this point. We've kind of elaborated a bit more on things. So this is still something I see get confused moderately often, despite how much we're trying to rewrite the narrative, or at least correct the public perception of the narrative. Object classes are not danger level. Object classes are just how hard something is to keep contained, proverbially or literally, because that is the SCP Foundation's goal. Um, there is also risk class and disruption class now. Not fully sure. Did that notification pop up for the thing? It shouldn't have. If it did, oh well. Uh, what was I saying? Right. There is object class, which is simply just how hard something is to keep contained, either literally or proverbially. Proverbially, an example is like 2662. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. The deer, the Keter deer, 2662 SCP. Cognitohazardous entity. Nope, this is something else. Sorry, 2662 is a Teenage Cthulhu. I was thinking about him, I want to say 2 days ago. That's why I was thinking about him. I feel like a loser having to look up Dear God SCP 2845, which is the number I said 2 days ago when I was thinking of Teenage Cthulhu. No fucking wonder. Anyway, I believe that's a Keter. Remember, it's Keter, not Keter. Oh no, this is something else entirely, unless it got rechanged. Procedures, central chamber, non-concentric rings. Nope, this is the same thing. Huh, this one is unique. Containment class extreme, hazard rating black. That is not something that is followed along with most of the other files. I guess it's a format screw? I mean, I don't know, or rather, I don't have anything else to guess on, like, the reasoning for something like that, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say that's a format screw. But, the anomaly classification system is what it's called now. Obviously, there is the wiki. It has a little guide for it, as it does for most other things on the resource hub. If you are an aspiring writer or just wish to get a more in-depth feel onto various SCP things. It even has like its own little version of that fire safety triangle thing, but it's like a hexagon. So like I said, containment class, and then you know the typical containment class is safe, Euclid, Keter, Thaumiel, and Apollyon, and neutralized, not necessarily in that order. And then disruption class is just like how, disruptive something can be, and risk class is how threatening it is to the veil of secrecy. How, just like at a glance. Is, yes, I was correct. Disruption, wait, no, was I correct? What did I just say? I think I did that the wrong way around, actually. Disruption class is how likely it is to break the veil or the status quo of reality. Risk class is actually closer to a danger level. So we do now have a danger level. And then there's a secondary class for a bunch of esoteric stuff, and then research tiers 1 through 5. Sometimes people use 6, but that's contentious at best and outright ignored at. I don't want to say worst, because I ignore it. But, you know, the SCP canon is fluid. The flesh is fluid. It can be reshaped, remade. I think that's the quote. Anyway, but, I keep seeing the typical misconception of object class is how dangerous something is, especially after we changed it, and evidently that is now risk class, which I do think is good. I do think it is a good idea for the Foundation to have realistically cataloged how dangerous something is at a glance, or at least letting you know how dangerous something is at a glance, um, as opposed to safe Keter, Euclid, Thaumiel, words in a vacuum, CPU risk class. I closed the wiki guide article, and now I'm reopening it. My apologies. As opposed to safe Euclid Cutter Gear. Did I say safe Euclid Cutter Gear? What the fuck? As opposed to safe Euclid Cutter, which are again just words in a vacuum but do have a color associated with them. Risk and disruption have numbers as well, though they do also have weird words. The word vlam has stuck in my head since I read that for disruption class. I, I literally just can't explain it other than what it said vlam, and I thought that was funny. Also, I read it the first time and got confused and a little bit upset because something was new and I didn't get it. Um, what are Dark Vlam Kanak Eki Amida? Are the disruption class ones? No wonder it confused me. Also, they have very fun sigils and symbols. You know what containment locks look like, and then Apollyon, Archon. So these are like the generally accepted esoteric object classes. The only one I personally know is Apollyon. I've heard Archon, but I don't know what it means. As I've also heard Tiamat. Oh, and Thaumiel and Uncontained. I don't know what Archon does. I don't know Sarunos. I also know Decommission, obviously. Hymal, Ticonderoga. I don't know what those mean, and the sigils aren't super elaborative either. But Disruption class is like an eye opening up, and with the pupil is like a flame, or what to me kind of turns into this sort of cool like black hole symbol. It's really nice looking. And then Risk class is just a series. I don't know how else to describe it aside from a series of circles, but it's a really cool thing. Think of it like Oh man, those circle maps that we used to have to do in elementary school for like discussing literature that you haven't thought about in ages. What are half of this stuff? Hera, Yesod, Ignacy, Shik Shokma? There's Apollyon and Apollyon 2. Not like officially, I'm looking at proposed, like, oh man, what's all of this called again? Apologies. Anomaly classification system symbols. At the bottom there, people submitted their own. You can also use them officially, technically, because they're right here. I believe you can use them officially. Yeah, but I don't know half this stuff. Necrospar? Ne Necropser. Necropser? Necropser. I'm gonna look into that later because that is cool. Screenshot. This app doesn't allow screenshots. Damn, I should have known. Um, so instead I'll just look it up on a separate tab. Give me 1 second. I'm not pausing or anything. Uh, Necrops. Did I spell that right? Because this is, of course, Necro. Sorry. Yep. SCP class. And now that I have searched it up, I will see it. I do not want this fuck-ass AI answer away from me. Nasty thing. Um, but just wanted to quickly get that out of the way, the object classes, and then I will have to teach myself later risk and disruption. Obviously I look at them, though I've never familiarized myself with them fully, because I didn't know if it was going to be a fad, but now that I can see it's here to stay, I will later on read through it in full. But I I genuinely do like the object class system. Sorry, the anomaly classification system. I was about to say system again, because it is something very unique and thematic for the SCP Foundation. Um, Speaking of unique and thematic, nope, couldn't think of a neat segue. I said that before I thought of the next thing to say. So instead, I'll just reiterate a point about MTF, Mobile Task Force, not male to female. Um, Here's an important thing that I really want to, and I know I practically said this verbatim last time. I need to stress this so very much. A. The mobile task forces are primarily specialized groups of research teams that go to the field. B. Mobile task force, guard, site command, and researchers and like janitorial stuff and things like that are coworkers. I find it very hard to believe, from a personal standpoint, that guards are walking around scorning scientists, calling them eggheads, and getting in the way of their research and shit. Same with like MTF and things like that. And C, and maybe the most important to me because it pisses me off so very much, MTF are well trained, sure. They're well funded. I'll give you that. They have a whole host of resources to call on and can get anywhere within several hours, if not at most a day. Correct. On their casualty rates, sure, they may be low, but that is only because almost every mission they get sent on is like a dud or harmless. Mostly just duds and false alarms. On situations where these MTF are required to actually face a violent entity, oh baby, they fucking die en masse. Oh, they can't stop dying. Do you know why? It's because out of a group of people who have no idea what they're doing, the MTF are the most qualified, maybe second most if you consider GOC strike teams better. However, this is, in no conceivable fucking way, saying they're qualified at all. They're simply the most qualified. So, what do I mean by that? Well, how much can they actually genuinely really accomplish? They're well-trained guys, still just guys. They're well-funded, still within the realms of human capacity. They can go anywhere, what does it matter? They can't stop shit already in motion, and they're really just like a probing force until you can call in or get O5 approval for some heavy shit, in my personal opinion. Of course, canon is fluid, but if we're going about this with a modicum of believability, MTF will die quite often because, in all honesty, they're just kind of thrown at the wall because who really fucking knows what they're doing, especially for the field work they do. But keep in mind, that is almost never happening. Most of what they do is just like field research. Again, Lambda 5 white rabbits are just wandering through like reality shattering spaces. Zeta 9 mole rats are just going through either tight corridors of like some endless looping halls or just non-Euclidean geometry where they're just doing extreme caving. Beta 7 Mass Hatters are pretty much just biohazard containment teams. Tau 7 Fire Eaters. Did I get that right? I don't give a damn what the most elite MTF units. Try fire. No, that's real. Let me just look up Fire Eaters SCP. Not Tau Fire Warrior, I don't give a damn. Epsilon 9, damn, I was way off. They're an Epsilon unit? Wow, I blocked that off my brain. So Epsilon 11, Nine-tailed Fox. Anyway, I'll get onto that secondly. Epsilon 9? Sure, I guess they can be heavy flamer-wielding freaks who want to burn all, but realistically, they're just fucking firefighters. They're just anomalous fucking firefighters. Like, let's get real. They don't really have a reason to burn most things. Sure, they're probably trained in it. Sure, they're going to be the ones expertly, like, air quotes, expertly handling flamers and, like, I don't know, fucking heat guns, like those riot control things. But really, they're probably just in heavy-duty firefighter gear and working around magma pools, like anomalous magma pools, which is, I argue, a lot cooler than just let all burn. Especially because let all burn is incredibly visible, incredibly public, incredibly veil-shattering, and what fucking excuse could they have? And as to tackle Mobile Task Force Epsilon 11 designated Nine-tailed Fox entering the facility, something people either ignore or just don't realize. Nine-tailed Fox are only, as far as I remember, are only for entering containment breached sites and working in like tight compact groups to try to fix shit. They're not there for extended periods of time. They're there when shit goes wrong and leave when it can be handled by someone else. They're not an elite fighting unit. They're just kind of good at being in sites. Which, in terms of NPF, is really fucking lame. Because what is Gamma 5 Deep Feeders? I think it's Gamma 5 Deep Feeders. They're really cool to me because they're fully aquatic, if I remember correctly. They're going to the fucking depths of the ocean in pressurized suits, right? Tethered to like a submarine, scouring the depths in ink black darkness, knowing that at any moment some aquatic shit can just grab you right then and there. Imagine from being that perspective. Imagine being that MTF agent. The freezing water all around you, the thick pressure on every part of your body. It's still so hard to breathe. The thick padded suit making it hard to move, doing nothing for the cold, knowing you have what, maybe six. I don't actually know how big diving tanks are, but I'll just say six because that's not an incredibly large amount of time by all means. Hours of emergency oxygen on your back, and you're currently being tethered by your face to a submarine somewhere you can't see, and you're likely not given lights in order to avoid disturbing anything in the ocean. You're also very likely alone because there is very little benefit for having a squad of three in the water where your cord can get tethered and you can get stuck on one another. And outside of maybe some aquatic pistols or SMGs and maybe a knife they gave you, you've got no defenses. How much did they tell you when you went into that suit? How much are they telling you through your comms feed, which you're getting crackled and obscured by all sorts of like interference, be it sonar, background radiation, or just something not coming through clearly because you can hear the pressure in your ears? How much can you see really? If you put your hand an inch from your face, could you make out your own silhouette? Every moment you know there's something around you. You'll probably start hallucinating, feeling it too. Right there, down there, in the depths, you have to hope you can scream loud enough and quick enough that they can pull you back. You know in the back of your heart you can't. That is a lot more interesting to me than the nine-tailed fox again. But, and this is mostly like an offsite thing, um, in terms of like MTF, how they're seen. I don't mean from the cosplay side because I get it, tactical and all that. Um, or you can just be like an SCP researcher with like some D class or something, or like one of the more popular SCPs. But like in terms of offsite discussion, it's Nu 7 hammered down, it's Epsilon 11, it's Alpha 1, it's is it Omega 1? The one that the ethics committee has. And it's just it's the combat ones. It's fucking whatever's number Samsara. Wait, no, Samsara is their designation. It's the ones that are Samsara who I choose to forget their number. I don't like them. Uh, are they? Is their number Samsara? Or are they called the Power Rangers? Fuck, I don't remember. Um, it's not Asimov's Lawbringers, a mostly detective group dedicated to bringing in Anderson Robotics. It's not one-star reviewers who are dedicated to finding and apprehending Ambrose chains of restaurants. It's never the cool ones. It's always the military LARPers. And I'm sick of seeing that. I need more deep feeders love. Um, and not just because I love them, no. Glances left to right furtively. Um, they're just so fucking cool. But I guess when you were, taught a lot about the ocean, that's just kind of what happens. I'm very ocean biased. That being said, if I got to pick, I think I'd be a terrestrial animal. I just think there's more I can do with a body plan if I was a terrestrial animal as opposed to an aquatic one. Leave it, not even just for like algorithm bait or something. I'm genuinely curious. Leave in the comments if you would rather be a terrestrial creature or an aquatic creature, and what your kind of like idea goal that you're aligning yourself with is. Personally, I look to be a large herbivore because those things are fucking nasty. You don't want to pick a fight with a large herbivore. They don't give a damn. If you'd like to hear me rant more about large herbivore, I think I mentioned some stuff in HFY and also the food one. I still really like the food one. I'm referencing the videos on my fucking channel. Please watch the food one. I'm very proud of the food one. I know it sounds really boring, but I promise I made it not. Anyway, if you need nothing else to sell you on, it was in the middle of the afternoon, so I actually had my mental faculties in order. And I knew what I was talking about, roughly. That inspired confidence, but whatever. Anyway, we're gonna double back and go in depth on GOIs once more. Uh, I didn't talk much about why I love them, as opposed to just like my general thoughts on them. I love the groups of interest because they represent a unique sort of take on faction systems. I also made a video on faction systems. Please watch that one. Well, actually, that one's not the greatest. Anyway, they're a unique sort of faction system. It's not just noble houses plotting to fuck each other over for no reason. Granted, with groups of interest, there's a lot of plotting to fuck each other over for, well, I guess there's a reason this time. But that it's usually in a fun way with just the advent of SCP or anomalies. It makes them planning to fuck each other over a lot more unique and interesting. Or at least the ways they go about it and shit like that. Um, I love the So again, a lot of perspective, and remember, canon is fluid in SCP. It's not real. It can't hurt you, except it can because there is kind of canon. I will explain later, writing that down. Also making notes. X marks the topic that I've talked about on the notes. Just thought of that scene with Xavier Renegade Angel where he's talking to his clone. I love that scene so much. I used to be able to quote half of it. I've since forgotten it. So remember, a lot of this stuff is like, based on other canons or things I've read at a glance and things like that. Remember, not every tale is going to be like this, not every file is going to be like this, not every interpretation of the GOIs are going to be like this. So here we fucking go. I love the idea with the GOC of very, very thinly veiled animosity between the Foundation and the GOC. Because again, the GOC and the Foundation work together a hell of a lot more than they do bite with each other. And don't forget the UN part of the GOC. The GOC have someone to answer to. That is very important for the Broken Masquerade canon, which I love the Broken Masquerade canon. Forewarning, I will talk about the Broken Masquerade canon. You will hear about the Broken Masquerade canon. But I love the idea with the GOC and the SCP Foundation that when they do cooperate, it is the worst. Well, I guess it's the best kind of diplomacy. Of like, they're working together, but they're gritting their teeth and spitting the worst venom at each other from behind it. And I love thinking this goes all the way down from the O5 to whatever the GOC's equivalent is, I guess would be the UN, to like Site Command and like GOC Command to just like the fucking different field agents to just the researchers. I fully embrace the idea that they would love nothing more than to have an inter-group like boxing championship, and everyone's gonna cheat, right? If you get what I'm trying to say. But I also like that idea, especially because of the parts where they do put that shit aside and genuinely work together, particularly on the investigative aspects. Though that works a lot better with the. In concept, it works a lot better with the UIU. Unfortunately, they have no money. Um, but I love the idea that of when the. And obviously, there's, of course, the GOC strike teams, which need a bit more fleshing out than they have currently, in my humble opinion. But obviously there is, of course, the oh shit, a threat we can shoot with bullets. Let's team up to shoot at it with more bullets. And we've since moved away from the idea of GOC want to kill everything, thankfully. Otherwise, I'd hate them. Even still, I kind of don't like them. I think in a lot of stories they have like exosuits. So fun fact about me, exosuits are the farthest I'll go with any sort of mecha. I'm not a big fan of mecha. Um, So you can really, it's very, is it obvious now I'm not the greatest fan of future settings, as I keep repeating? I don't like energy weapons. I don't like mecha, like Gundam. I realize now mecha is also a place. I have no issues with the place mecha, or at least I'm not informed enough on mecha to have any issues with it. But Gundam is not my thing. I dislike the glossing over of ship travel within future settings if you're going to have ship travel, and a bunch of other issues I have brought up since. Anyway, I if the GOC had stayed as they used to have been, which is we would wish to destroy all SCPs, all anomalous objects or phenomena, will be subsumed into dust. I would have hated them with a fucking vehement passion. Currently, oh man, I love them. They're up there. They really are up there. And you know why? Because, like I said, they got unique and they have something to play off of with each other. Keep in mind that predominantly they're going to want to play off of the Foundation. This does not mean they should only play off of the Foundation. GOC, I feel, should also work together with the UIU. They should also have conflicts with GRU Division P, as well as I feel like they would not dislike Marshall Carter and Dark as much as the Foundation, because while the GOC also does keep heavily in mind, the veil of secrecy, I personally think they'd be a lot more willing to break that veil than the Foundation would ever be. Key and point, the Broken Masquerade canon, but that is, I'm getting off topic once more. I just love the idea that they genuinely have so much fucking vitriol for one another for their inherent differences, despite there being enough similarities that they should be practically brothers in arms. But, things don't always go that way, and there's likely so much intercompany, like, politicizing as well as propagandizing. Remember Brothers, the chair, who I don't really care that much about. She's mulch now. Let her just be mulch. Stop dragging her name through the mud. The pregnant fishing boats, however, that is justifiable for hating them. But also, I get it. Also, no, a sonar does not help you play with whales. Sonar is bad for whales. Let's think about that file again, how they blasted sonar pings to play with pods of whales. That is not how sonar works. It also kills schools of fish. Sonar is really destructive for the aquatic environment. Fun fact, look into it, it's so bad. Anyway, um, where was I with GOIs? Right. I love the GOIs in Foundation Canon, A, because they're pretty expensive compared to a lot of other, like, fandoms or series, or whatever you want to call them. Sort of narrative branching, not narrative branches, factions or other branches of the story. Obviously, that goes with the territory of being an online collaborative writing project, but GOIs are a lot more fleshed out than other IPs as factions, which is something I adore. They generally do have interfaction, like, histories with one another. The GOC itself has the histories of the occult wars. I think specifically the third occult wars when the GOC like formed, and beforehand it had a hand in with the Knights Templar, with the Illuminati, Freemasonry, Church of Satan, other sorts of like cults and figures of that nature. Broken God was involved. Sarkics were involved. So the idea that the GOC is literally the global occult coalition erring to the side of research is actually very interesting. And if we weren't focused on SCP primarily, I would actually lobby for GOC. That being said, I don't mind our sister site being the Wanderer's Library. Serpent's Hand does need some more love. As much as I don't personally find myself aligning with their goals, I do think that they are a genuinely good faction as well. Another thing is with the Serpent's Hand, the Foundation and the Hand also do come together and work together a lot more often than you would give them credit for. Because the Hand aren't stupid. The Hand don't want to free every single anomaly and make it all public as they were used to be portrayed as. They do have restraint. They do have critical thinking skills. They do understand what does need to be kept out of reach of the public. They just prefer to be a lot more they would prefer to be a lot more open with the masses as a whole of what goes bump in the night, which is admittedly a noble goal, and I do find myself sympathizing, but also I just agree with Foundation more. But that being said, they are not without also being extrapolated on, key and point being the Wanderer's Library itself, which is very interesting. Interesting insofar as we have it as our official sister site, which is pretty cool. And then there's the Black Queen and her ties with is it the Black Queen? I rambled to a friend once. I can just quickly check. It's been a while since I thought of her. Her ties with the Hand and the Foundation. Queen. I can just look up Queen and probably find it on Black Queen. I was right. I'm a genius maxing, insane, crazy person. I fucking threw my phone at my water bottle. No better timing. The Black Queen and her ties to the Serpent's Hand, as well as the Foundation itself. I'm not going to say that. That would have been a little bit of a spoiler. Please look into the Black Queen. She's also very interesting. She is also a group that didn't pique your interest. Then nothing about her will. Go research the Black Queen yourself and the Black Moon Howls. That is a very unique. Shout out to Tan Honey. Shout out to Tan Honey. Wasn't big on 5,000, but as I interact with the Foundation more, I think I am more interested in 5,000. I'm glad it won. At the time I wasn't, but now I am very glad it won. I am also very glad that 8,000 won the seal of approval. Just the way it played with the theme of fantasy, the narrative aspect that I lost myself in, the humor and the seriousness all wound into this tight, compact packaging with phenomenal characterization that extends beyond just the 8,000 entry, as with the writer's other SCP entries, and it made me cry. Please, I reiterate so much. Please, God, go read 8,000. It is worth your time. Please believe that. Anyway, I do think the Serpent's Hand is also incredibly interesting. Again, I just love the aspect of the Wanderer's Library as a whole. And then even beyond just is Court of Alagata a group of interest? I don't remember it being one. And then even beyond the official like groups of interest, anything to do with the Court of Alagata is incredibly interesting. The Hand King tragedy being the being like the I want to say first SCP written within the Court of Alagata, and then spread from there. And then I do so love the fan interpretation. I say fan interpretation, but it's technically canon if you want to follow that, and I do, so I follow that. That SCP-035 has ties to the Court of Alagata. Endlessly fascinating. Despite me hating Fae, I genuinely kill every single Fae that exists. Um, I do really like the whole court and its aesthetic, like the fairy court shit. It's so nice. And yeah, it's more than that. I know. The Hanged Can is very clear rip on the not rip exactly. It's very clearly drawn inspiration from the King in Yellow. Shout out to Darkest Dungeon for also drawing inspiration from the King in Yellow, i.e. the Collector. He is literally in yellow. He's his fucking crown on him, and and the baleful King in Yellow here to make due on his promise. I think is a direct quote. Anyway, even beyond like just the official like groups of interest, they do not skimp out on extrapolating and elaborating on these various sort of factions within the universe, which is something I find myself drawn to endlessly. And even beyond the ones that I like for the relationship they have with the antagonistic relationship they can have with the Foundation, Wilson's Wildlife Foundation is amazing to me. As well as managed charitable, but managed charitable to a lesser extent because I don't think people play with them as much as they do with other things. But Wilson's Wildlife being your go-to for unique creatures, anomalous creatures that are not just inherently destructive, was a breath of fresh air. On long road trips, I will outright seek out Wilson's Wildlife Hub and start reading various wildlife entries, files, and tales. I'll reread them too. I don't care if I'm rereading them. They're that good to me. And they are also worth your attention. Especially because this means they can interact with other various groups. I remember they did have a prominent SCP. It was a bear that had ties to the Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting. I believe they also have implied, or at least someone has written it outright, of one of their wildlife being a result of Marshall Carter and Dark pet trade. I think same with Wondertainment, which is very interesting. How like anomalous pet trade, obviously MC&D is your go-to for any sort of anomalous black market stories, which are another thing that is endlessly interesting to me. Even though I find myself vehemently despising Marshall Carter and Dark, out of universe, of course. In universe, of course. Out of universe, I said the wrong way around. Out of universe, I love them for what they're able to provide for the narrative and setting. That being said, I fucking despise them and what they do. But hey, you'll forgive me for being passionate about shit. Again, SCP is kind of not to be melodramatic, but I'm gonna be melodramatic is what made me the person I am today. For a good shit, way over 6 years now. I was gonna say 6 years because I assumed that it wasn't this year. For fuck, I forgot even what year. For like 10 years now. Yeah, for 10 years now, I've been involved with the narrative, the universe, whatever. Again, never tried my hand at writing and uploading a tale or a entry file, but that might change in maybe next year. Gotta get practicing. But there's just something about. Sorry, I got distracted again. No, that's not the topic I want to say. It's just like literally for the past 10 years I've been part of this universe. It genuinely has had an impact on who I am as a person today. My hobbies and interests, and shit, whenever I had some bad days, it's just nothing felt better than coming back home and reading file. There was a solid month a few years back where that was just, it was all I did. I didn't play games. Shit, I didn't do my homework. I got 4 hours of sleep a day. I would just sit there. I would listen to the Exploring series. I would listen to Discovering SCP. I would read the files in and out of class. SCP has genuinely changed me as a person. Not to be melodramatic, but when you've been sticking with something for 10 years, it is not an exaggeration to say that. Anyway, again, 8,000 made me cry in class, and I am forever thankful for that. Not because it made me cry in class, but because it was a file I needed to read at some point. And I think that me crying in class made it more memorable, which lets me remember the full fucking message of 8,000. I meant to go find the name of the writer, and I forgot how to do that, and I don't, if I do that, I'll go on another tangent. So just big ups to you, Ming. That was something else. Please keep writing. So cannons. So cannons, yeah. SCP cannons. I mentioned prior, prior being last episode, if you could call these videos episodes of a type. I had mentioned prior that there is a kind of fundamental misunderstanding of SCP canon as a whole, particularly with the there is no canon line, which is true and untrue at the very same time. First of all, there are genuinely official canons. Wow, that was bad. The three that pop to mind are the Broken Masquerade canon, the Insect Hell canon, and the End of Death canon. And then even within groups, they have their own canons. Again, I will mention Wondertainment has like three that I know of, that there might be more. Herman Fuller's has at least two, depending on whether or not Herman Fuller is a living person at this point in time. Anderson Robotics, I think, even has two, depending on who's fucking leading Anderson Robotics. Or was Prometheus Labs the split off from Anderson Robotics? Is Prometheus Labs real? Did I gaslight myself? Prometheus Labs, SCP. Prometheus Labs. I nodded. I was right. I'm pretty. No, it's pretty fucking cut and dry that they have ties to Anderson Robotics. I'm about to hedge my bets. No, they're fucking related. The Black Queen herself is a huge slew of things. The Black Moon howls of anything to do with Fifthism, right? All these different canons we've got. There are genuinely official storylines that you can chase down and read and lose yourself in if you'd love to. And if you don't have the time for that, or you want to do that while you're doing chores or you're boring office work, that hey, I'm not telling. Again, I cried in class. I keep saying I cried in class like that was a one-time thing from crying from reading an SCP in class. No, there's at least two others, but 8K stuck with me in a way they didn't. Just more proof to its power, I suppose. There are genuine. Oh, right. Like I was going to say, the Exploring series. He has videos on official canons. If you would like to put that on the background as you're doing something else, I recommend it. The man's voice is fucking. I don't know, angelic or something. It's not angelic, right? Not in the typical way someone would think of angelic as like soft and higher in tone. No, his voice isn't like that, but damn if it isn't amazing. It's fucking perfect to listen to. Uh, I know this sounds probably weird, but I don't give a shit. Anyway. Oh, I see. I get it now. Anyway, sorry. Oh, also, I'm gonna crack my back very quickly. Oh, fuck. Ah, damn. That's nice shit. But even beyond the official canons you can find and chase down, there is rules for the no canon rule that we have. So biggest rule is have fun. Fucking ignore anything if you want, but also, files can't really contradict one another. Maybe I'm giving wrong info, but this, as far as I'm aware, this is kind of how it works. The file for the SCP has seniority. If a tale says something different, just consider that a mischaracterization or something. The file itself has seniority over what the anomaly can do, right? Or over what the anomaly is. Um, say say you wanted to change it suddenly in a tale, so 106 is corrosive slime. Um, if he slothers it on a tree stump, a new tree would grow within 5 minutes or something. Given that his file says his acid corrupts every single material, period, it would just melt through the tree stump for the wider purposes of discussing the SCP. Drawing attention to this one specific tale where that is not true is pointless because in the wider canon, that is not how that works. Oh, I should have clarified. When I say it has seniority, I mean when you're discussing it in, you know, forums or in person or just like over calls and shit. When you're discussing SCP, there is technically an overarching canon where the file has seniority in order to assure that you can actually say shit and it's true, and also that we're all on the same page and understand things, so that you can't just go oh well, other tale said blank, so no. No, you can say, well, file says yes, so yes. Of course, you're always, above all else, free to go and do your own headcanons and change it around in your brain, but for the purposes of wider discussion, it will be, this is my headcanon, follow it if you'd like, and I would go, I will follow that if I like. However, do I like? And then I'll read your several paragraph long thesis. I will actually, because I fucking love this universe. But too often people say, "Oh, there's no canon, so who gives a shit?" No, there is ways to discuss SCP like fucking people. If you would just give a damn and read the article, hell, in the SCP subs, if you there's a bot in there that automatically will link you to an SCP if you write it down in a certain way. I think you'll just fucking pop open any comment section, you'll see someone summoning Marv. Do we call him Marv? I don't remember if his name is Marv. We named the bot. Uh, I'm pretty sure we did. Ugh. Anyway. Oh, my fucking eyes. My phone. It burns. Wait. I had. Oh, wow, that fucking sucked. I turned on my phone in the dark. I turned the. What do you call it? Brightness up a considerable margin. Which is not what I should have done. Because believe it or not, that hurt my eyes well. And you should believe it. Because my eyes are fragile, as are yours. Um, Maybe I shouldn't be in the dark so often. Oh, I've got a nightlight, it's fine. I'm scared of the dark, by the way. I still have a nightlight. It's the color green right now. There's a few other colors. I like the green one though. Anyway, I lost track of what I was saying after flashbanging myself. Ah, that's why I have the checklist. Yeah. I was discussing like cannons and things like that. Uh, so there is the, like the file has seniority rule to invoke. I guess I'm also gonna briefly talk into hate power scalers slash scaling. Put an X by that. Anyway. So it's pretty commonly held opinion, at least for like on-site fans, and even for a considerable amount of off-site fans, you guys are doing good at that, that power scaling SCPs is fucking pointless and stupid and lame, and that's not what they're here for. Again, I mentioned last time that I see these arguments. I don't know if I'm getting fucking baited and it's working, but if I'm not being baited, that's upsetting. Please read the files. That apparently some people somehow believe that people are writing their own SCPs to be an unstoppable, like, murder monster in order to beat people in power scaling arguments online. That's not fucking happening. Nobody does that. And admins explicitly delete that shit. Admins and mods and other sorts of SCP stuff explicitly delete shit like that. I don't fucking get it. Nobody's doing that. It's a lot more interesting to write and discuss and share around SCPs that tell a narrative, which is what people are predominantly focused on doing. And I tip my hat to you because that is what I'm here to read. And I wager it's why you do that, because you're also here to read said things. But regardless, I will continue on with my hatred of power scaling SCP. If I can actually like continue this on for a long while, I'll be shocked, because it usually just comes down to, hey, this isn't what I like doing, and this is pretty much the commonly accepted. We don't like doing this here. But there, as SCP gets more popular, of course, power scalers are gonna see it and get involved. But generally speaking, SCP fans don't want to involve power scaling in anything because it kind of hurts the narrative. And by kind of, I mean it hurts the narrative a lot if you're just focused on having your anomaly be powerful for the sake of beating other people in an argument online. That is really just, that's sad, man, if you do that. Anyway, like, I see it with the Scarlet King a lot. People will bring up the Scarlet King. People, okay, so they'll, like, the power scalar discussion will go like this. The main topic will be brought up, and then someone in the comments will angrily bring up the Scarlet King, and then others in the comments will angrily talk about why they hate the Scarlet King, and then fundamentally misunderstand how the Scarlet King works as a whole. I don't get that. It is quite literally a man invents fictional scenario and gets mad about it. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased in terms of Scarlet King writing, thinking that the Scarlet King is a pretty cool narrative, sort of like driving force. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, so I'll mention it here. I don't like the theory that SCP-999 is the seventh bride's child and is destined to beat the Scarlet King. I think it's quite frankly, I think that's lame. I know it's a lot of people's favorite. I think I don't like that. I like 99 being completely separate to the Scarlet King narrative. I still like the idea of the seventh child has not yet been born. And I'm also very split on whether or not I like the idea that the seventh child is actually going to take on the king at all. You know? I don't know. But, eh. The Scarlet King mischaracterization irritates me considerably. Let me just... Another sip of water. Let me just talk about community very quickly, I guess. Then I might wrap this up if I don't have another topic to think about or talk about. Ugh, what the hell? Yeah, something fell on me. It's like nothing bad. It's like probably some water. Would you guys wear jean socks, by the way? Because that sounds very uncomfortable. I don't know if the idea in my... I just got flashbanged with that idea, and I need to share that with you. So, community. Not that TV show I've never seen. I mean the SCP community. Overall, and I'll take like a as unbiased as I can be stance on this. I think they're one of the better online communities out there. And I will say mostly because they just stay in their own fucking corner and don't bother anybody else. Really, like, really speaking, we're just kind of off our own corner as freaks and weirdos. And I'm fine with being a freak and a weirdo. But I'm a freak. Book of Life sped up. Insert that clip right here. Um, I really do like the SCP community. I think they're one of the more creative communities out there. It helps also that they're very active. Uh, a curse of you being in a fandom and there's 20 people and 7 of them have full-time jobs is not in effect here. I like so much of the art that gets made. It's all great. It's all amazing. What is your name? Clockwork Dragon, I want to say. I'm not going to move on until I credit you properly. SCP art. You'll know them by the style. We have our own artwork hub. Tell me who made this. Thank you. Post. Sunny Clockwork. That was it. Knew there was clockwork in it. Sunny Clockwork. They are the practically face of SCP art, and they only use black and white. It's so... Wow, that one looks fucking amazing. Oh, what is this from? Hold on, I need the link. Sunny Clockwork's artwork. They have their own artwork hub. You can go and see so much of this. Wow. Talorant comics. Oh, wow, I didn't know you did those. Should have been more. Oh, look at all these Dr. Gears ones. Oh, man. That's so good. What the fuck? Dr. Gerald and his shitty driving. Dr. Ice. Oh, dude. Sorry, so sorry. I know this is lame. Just hearing me go, oh man, and not showing anything. But please go look up Sunny Clockwork artwork. Either just look it up or just go to the fucking art hub and look that up. It's so good. Oh, there is stuff with color. Oh, damn. Anyway, a lot of the art that gets made for SCP is of great fucking quality, even if it's for a file I don't know. And of course, there's still going to be uh, what's the word? It would be more rude to say it like this, but it's the only one that's coming to mind. Milsim LARPers who do like art for MTF teams. MTF teams get a lot of the art and recognition. I'm totally not fucking bitter about that. What is my issue with MTF? If it was guard, I wouldn't give a damn. Do I just like the idea of guard a lot more? Oh, who am I fucking kidding? I like the idea of guard a lot more. But in terms of community, again, they're one of the more creative and like active ones out there, which I love them for. It helps that I'm a part of it, as well as the more like I'll bring it up again. We paid for the. Ugh, sorry, let me take a sip of water and then I'll bring it up again. We paid for Dr. Gears' cancer treatment. We crowdfunded a man's cancer treatment. How many other. Sorry, I had to wipe my face. How many other fandoms can say shit like that? How many other, like, in online groups can just go right there and say it outright? That man, we funded his cancer treatment. And obviously, not like, oh, look at us, we're so holier than that, we funded a man's. No, I just think that's such a cool thing to have been a part of. Dr. Hughes. Cancer. Yeah. Wait, but did he beat it? Or did it just go to remission? past like looking at past funding it. I wasn't fully sure. Oh, he fucking beat it, or at least as of 5 years ago. I don't think it came back. We, and it's just so back in my mind. It's just something to know. He had an interview. Oh, I'm saving that. I'm gonna read that fucking tonight, dude. Um, it's just so cool to in the back of my fucking brain know, oh my god, how lucky am I to be part of a community that like cares so much about itself that we're going to fund a man's cancer treatment, right? And then there was the whole issue with copyright. Remember when that Russian guy tried to copyright SCP, and then within like a month we had crowdfunded enough to pay for a fucking lawyer to deal with this international issue? That was also something staggering to me. The number of fan projects in the works, the number of fan films, greater than the overwhelming majority of fandoms ever get the right to say, right? Sure, I may still be fucking fuming mad that there is no SCP strategy game. Sure, there are SCP inspired games, but I will never play those not until the SCP game comes out first. I will pay top dollar for that shit. And sure, it's not like we're beyond our fair share of controversies. I'm pissed too at what Lord Bung did, right? I'm pissed too. I fucking hate you, Bright. I'm pissed too at what happened with the SCP Unity devs. I too am upset that we actually did not be or not able to crowdfund SCP Dollhouse, Overlord, and then SCP Heretic. I think it was gonna be Heretic. I am upset that that did not get funded. However, the shit we do have, we do have SCP Dollhouse. We do have SCP Overlord. We do have the 096 short film. We do have Containment Breach. Despite my grievances with it, we do have Secret Lab. We do have SCP-5K in the works. We do have SCP Fragmented Minds. After so long. It's just like, this is, quite frankly, my favorite fucking community out there. There's no two ways around it. And before I end this off, I need to say this. Let me address you by name. It's not something bad, I promise. I just need to say this shit. Nope, didn't search that fully. There we go. To preface, not a fan of Hazbin Hotel or Hello Boss. The show just didn't click with me, i.e., I don't like the lack of a plot and what plot ended up being given to us. Quite frankly, I just didn't think it was good. And plenty of my friends agree, so it's not like... Plenty of people agree, it's not like an unpopular opinion to hate on Vivzy Pop show, but it just wasn't for me, so I don't watch it. I don't really interact with the fandom at all either. I also don't like their fandom, given what I've been able to see from them or glean from them. That being said, I was incredibly bored one day. On a whim, AO3, SCP Foundation. So started digging around, see what I could find. One hell of a broken day. Shit, alright, good word count, good chapter count. At the time, updated recently. I can work with this. Oh wow, that's a big fanfic. Ah, I can lose myself in this, I can get behind this, but you know, I don't expect to be much good. And then it was. And then it was great. And I loved it. Quite frankly, it was great. It was... And so, I waited for that next update. Week passed, nothing. Month passed, nothing. Ah, it's fine. It's a fanfic. I don't expect this to be their fucking full-time job or nothing. They last updated The Silent Assassin on AO3. What they last updated the 21st of July, 2022. And before I continue on, do not harass them at all. Right? It is literally just it was their choice to put this up there, and it's their choice if they don't want to continue it or nothing like that, right? We're not owed an update or anything by that. Don't be an asshole. and don't fucking bother them. That being said, I have been on a cliffhanger for fucking 3 years now. And quite frankly, I'm a little fucking upset about that. But whatever. If it comes out, it comes out, and I'm happy. If it's never coming out, at least like mark it as discontinued or something, man. That's like all I had to say on that topic. I have been left on a cliffhanger for 3 fucking years. Every month I come back just to check. Today's my monthly check. Nothing. See you next month. Um, anyway, I think that's all I have to say on SCP for right now. Granted, it was a lot more disorganized than like why I don't have much to say right now, but I hope I drove home my autism a bit more. Again, please read 8000. Again, please listen to the Exploring series, the Vulcan, Dr. Sumerian, Chimerian, still don't know how to say it, and Discovering SCP. Again, please do not give slop channels any fucking views at all. I don't know what's up with that site. What is he? Site 18 guy on TikTok. I don't have TikTok. I think he's cool. I don't know. I don't watch his shit. He doesn't seem slop anyway, but I wouldn't know personally. Above all else, read the files yourself. Please God, read the files yourself. But just I hope I inspired something within you in regards to SCP. Also, let me know in those comments would you be aquatic or terrestrial, and if so, like, what's your body plan? What are you gonna eat? What's like the whole like idea in your head? Anyway, that is all. Goodbye.